Welcome to the Courthouse Kiosk Training, brought to you by Arkansas Access to Justice. This training is for clerks, court staff, librarians, and anyone hosting a kiosk. We'll walk through what the kiosk offers, how it works, and how you can assist visitors. We'll also touch on common questions, troubleshooting tips, and the difference between legal information and advice. Let's dive in.
My name's Megan. I'm with Arkansas Access to Justice, and I am the program coordinator. And this session should take about an hour, so let's get into it. Oh, disclaimer, of course, this presentation is for educational purposes only. While we aim to increase awareness of resources that improve access to justice, we want to emphasize that offering legal advice or drafting legal documents without a law license may constitute the unauthorized practice of law, which is prohibited. Now, I'll dig a little bit more into this later. So how did this all begin? Why do we have these kiosks? What's the background? What's the history? So there's this thing called the justice gap, which is this gap that a lot of people fall into who can't afford an attorney. And if they qualify for legal aid, there's not enough legal aid attorneys to help them. So they're in this gap. So most low income Arkansans can't afford a lawyer for simple legal needs issues like housing, family matters, or debt, which is called civil law, which is what we cover. Over 90% of these individuals don't get the legal help that they need because one, they can't afford it, or two, there is limited availability of free legal aid to meet the overwhelming demand. Unfortunately, we don't have enough legal aid attorneys. So this is where we come in. Arkansas Access to Justice Commission was created in 2003 by the Arkansas Supreme Court to ensure equal access to justice for all Arkansans. So what we do is we research justice gap issues, we draft policy proposals, we educate, and we focus on creating tools and programs to improve access to justice. So why the kiosks? We saw the need to make legal help more accessible, especially in underserved areas. The courthouse kiosks were developed to provide free, easy-to-use resources like legal forms, case search, and connections to legal aid. We were trying to make a hub, if you will, of where everything can be found. Our goal is to help close the justice gap and empower communities with self-help tools. So that was the big picture. So I put it into a little image here for you. So we researched justice gaps, and we found over 90% of low-income individuals don't get the legal help they need. We looked for a solution, which was empowering individuals to handle legal issues pro se, means on their own, with accessible tools. And then we implement this plan by installing kiosks statewide and providing training to staff like you. So today, from my understanding, is mostly librarian staff. I might have a clerk pop in, but this video is for both librarians and clerks and court staff, or anyone really who has a kiosk, like the physical kiosks that we have, that we give people, the computers, or if they have it on their own computer, like a library computer. The kiosks are designed to bring justice within reach for every Arkansan. And by supporting this effort, you are empowering Arkansans to access the legal help they need. And we really do thank you for being a part of this mission. So the objective for today, for this session, is to understand the features and functions of the kiosks, to gain hands-on experience navigating the software, and to learn to answer common questions from patrons. So I might be over-preparing you, but I'd rather over-prepare you than under-prepare you. All right, so let's dig in. I'll go over first the overview of the features on the kiosk, which includes the physical kiosk computer that we install for people, which might not be most of the librarians here today. I will be going over remote support. I'll be going over accessing the software, using the pro se forms, and the main feature overview of the kiosk. So this is only for those who have had us install the physical kiosk computers that we have. And these computers that we install for you they have two profiles. One is an admin profile, one is a user profile. The admin profile is locked for security, and we could give you access, meaning the password, to get on the admin profile if you need to, but we ask that you keep it secure and that you don't keep the computer logged on the admin profile for safety reasons. We don't want anybody putting any kind of viruses on the computer. The user profile blocks access to authorized websites, and this is the profile the patrons will be using. So if you have a physical computer that we gave you, the software that we have on it allows us to remotely go into the software where you are and troubleshoot technical issues. The printers are included, but the ink and paper are your responsibility. That is the only thing you are responsible for. And then you can easily request assistance by completing our tech support form available at the Kiosk Hub site. I'll be going over the Kiosk Hub site multiple times throughout this. And this applies to everybody, even if you're using a library computer with the icon on your desktop. If you run into some issue with the site, you could go here and fill out the tech request form. So accessing the kiosk software. So first I'm going to break it down and then I'll actually get into it. So you'll open the software by your desktop shortcut icon. So it will look like this right here. I did this on a Mac, so it might look different than what you might have if you have an HP. So it'll be an icon. You make the shortcut for that. If you don't know how to do that, I haven't had anybody have any issues, but if you don't know how to do that, let me know. And the icon will be at any location. Excuse me. But you'll need to ensure a shortcut has been created on your desktop. Now, if we bring you a physical computer, we've already put the shortcut on there for you. So for the library computers, you just need to make sure a shortcut is put on there. And again, if you don't know how to do that, please let me know. So when you click on this icon, it will open the kiosk software. First, I want to break it down before I get into it. There are forms and fact sheets. These are materials generally that assist with non-criminal issues like divorce, custody, or evictions. And then we have online legal advice where they can apply for free legal advice from a volunteer attorney. And this advice happens in a secure chat room. It's virtual, which is very nice. So they could get on there, ask a question. I wouldn't advise that they wait for someone to answer. They will get an answer alert back by email. So if they need a computer, they can come back and check it. They can also access court records. A lot of people don't know about this, but there's Court Connect, and we have an easy little link right there so they can get on and look for case records, including papers filed by the other party, orders from the judge. They can find criminal records. They can also apply for legal aid. So low-income Arkansans, this is who this is for. Services range from over-the-phone advice to a lawyer who will go to court with you. And then there is a search bar where you can find your local court. There are video explainers at the bottom, such as record sealing. That's a big one. And then at the navigation bar, there's a quick link to the divorce packet, which a lot of people use that. So that's why it's up there. And then a quick link to the statutes and rules, which is super, super handy. I use that a lot myself. And then there's a section to the criminal law. We don't really cover criminal law. The only thing we cover really is record sealing. So if you click on that, it tells you, about that and everything. And then frequently asked questions about lawyers, how do I find a lawyer? What if I want to send in a complaint about this lawyer? How much does a lawyer cost? Well, they can click on that and it will take them to that information. So the forms and fact sheets, I made its own slide, this right here. This is its own section on the kiosk site. And this is the most used feature on the kiosk. So to get to this, it looks like this right here, which we'll see in just a second. You select this to open the AR Law Help site, which is this. And this has all the pro se legal forms, fact sheets, you name it. And so once you get here to the AR Law Help, you find the area law you need, you read the fact sheets, you find resources, or you can fill out legal forms. So patrons can save, print, or email the forms that are on the site or anything on this site. And it's important to note that there are two types of forms on this site. There's an interactive form and a static PDF form. Now, not all the legal subjects on this site have a form. Now we're working on creating more, and we're working on making them more accessible. The interactive forms are way more accessible than the static PDF form. We just recently did a user testing for one of our new forms. We had half of the group do the interactive form, which is online, and you just answer the questions, and then it puts all that information into the PDF for you. And then we had the other half of the group fill out the actual legal document, fill in the blanks themselves by hand. And I'm just remembering this off the top of my head, but out of all the people who did the interactive form on the computer, just by answering questions, only one mistake was made. And then on the static PDF form, everybody made at least 1 to 3 mistakes. So we see a lot of reduced errors with the interactive forms, which makes sense because the PDF form is a legal document and it uses legalese and confusing language, whereas the interactive form, it asks you straight questions that you can answer, which you'll see in a minute. Which brings us to our interactive walkthrough. So I've been talking about the kiosk and all of its features. Now I'll finally show you what it does and what it looks like. But before I get into it, another disclaimer. So this is not a training on how to fill out the forms for others or to advise others on how to answer the form questions. This is only to show you how the kiosk and the forms work. Yes, you can share general legal information, and I'll provide some more differences between legal information versus legal advice. So for a quick example, if someone asks, what is a complaint? You can use plain language and say, it's a paper filed with a court to start a lawsuit. If you're unsure, you could use a legal dictionary to look it up. If someone asks, how do I answer this question about when I get married? I don't remember when we got married. You can suggest they find their marriage license or look for photos from their wedding day with a date stamp, or Facebook. Everybody puts everything on Facebook these days. Or they can order a new marriage license copy. All of that is practical advice. It's not legal. And I'll, again, explain that more, the difference. So before I open it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the kiosk page, and then I'll go to forms and fact sheets. From there, I'll open the appropriate legal form I want. Today, I'm going to do the Informa Pauperis one. That's the new one we just did. And this is how I want all of our forms to look. So I'll do that one. It's also one of the shorter ones. And then I'll go step by step through it, completing it, saving it, and etc. So let me open it. Normally, I would open it on the desktop. I click on the icon. I'll go ahead and do this. So here is what this looks like when you open the icon. So forms and fact sheets. I'll go more into these items here in a minute, but as this is the big one that everybody wants to use, it's right here, search fact sheets and forms. This is our Arkansas Law Help, which we partner with both legal aid organizations to keep this up to date. Now, I said I want to do the Informa Pauperis. This is a fee waiver form. And if I don't know where to look down here for it, sometimes I do forget where it is. I know it's under individual. It's right here, filing for a fee waiver. But if I didn't know that, I could go to search for topics. It kind of blends in. This is why I'm pointing it out. And fee waiver. I'll just click that. Right. And then it explains representing myself in court. filing for fee waiver. Okay, so as you can see, here's the interactive form, and then here's the static PDF form. Let me show this to you. So this is what this looks like. You know, there's no questions. I got to go in and fill it in myself. The nice thing about this is that if they want to print it off, they can, and then take it home and fill it out. But they can't really do that with the interactive form. So let me show you that. This is what we're going to do. We'll open this. And this is really great. We just had a student intern do this for us over the summer. So I don't know if any of you know, but when you go to file anything in court to open a case, it's $165 or more. A lot of people can't afford that. So you can file a fee waiver application, which is what this is. And this is where you ask the judge to waive your fees because you can't afford it. And it all depends on what the judge decides. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. The great thing about this is you can hover over words that explain, or you can drop down. This is what I'll need to fill out this form. Where can I download the blank form? This is where it tells you where you can find this. And then click the bubble, etc. And the nice thing about this is you can save it. You can create your own little profile and save it to, like, if somebody got on here and couldn't finish, they could save it. And then if they get home, they could finish it on their phone or on their laptop if they have one. So be truthful. Yes, it's a legal document. This program can't give legal advice. Yes. And this gives suggestions for legal aid. So they have to say, I understand. And then this is just because this interactive form doesn't have the extra certification that someone in prison needs for this. This is why we ask if you're in jail or not. The reason we don't have this for a person in jail is because they don't have internet, but it is on the static PDF. That's way more information than you need. So we continue. Have you completed the court document that you want to file? So let's pretend I'm going to use my real name, Megan. I'm getting a divorce, right? I want to divorce my husband. I don't know why I decided to get married. I should listen to my mother. Yes, I filled in the complaint for divorce. So what is the court document called? Where do I find the name of the court document? Okay, it's at the top page. We're going to pretend I have it here. I look at it. It's a complaint for divorce. Which county? I'll look at the document. I know that I live in Pulaski and I'm filing this in Pulaski. So, and the document says, there it is. And look at it, circuit. Okay. Full name, we'll just do a name. We'll do the office. Right, and then 1, 2, 3. Continue. No, I don't. When did I last work? Let's say I worked a year ago. Okay. Let's say 1,500 a month is what I made. Ideally, they would have an old payroll stub. And then it asks more, are you working for yourself? Do you get money from rent? Do you get any retirement money or gifts from someone who passed away, such as an inheritance? I'm going to say no. See, okay, so I want to show you this. These are the questions I'm going through. And then on here, they would have to go through all of this. Do you have any, like, did you get any of these things? Yes, no, no. Yeah, you see, this is why we prefer this way more. I'll say yes, I have cash money, $5. Do I own anything valuable? We'll say a car. I'm just going to say clear. we go to car. Now, this is an issue where we run into a lot. A lot of people do not put the correct amount. They put how much they paid for it at the time they got it, not the what it's worth today. That's why we put these on here, Kelly Blue Book. All that, we'll say it's 2,000. And then this is just to review it. And I can go in and edit. I can add more. Is there anyone who needs you to help pay for things like bills or daily expenses? I'm gonna say no for the sake of time. And then you review it. And I don't want to add anything. So I can download it and then print it if I want. And as you can see, it filled in all of the questions that I answered and put it where it needs to go in the document. And this is the part for the persons in prison. And then, as you can see, most of these documents on here probably, for the most part, might need a notary. And we are working on a notary list. And I know CALS has a free notary service there in Little Rock. So if anybody has questions about that, we're making a notary list to put on the kiosk here soon. And then they can also email this to themselves if they want. I will do mine. And then off it goes. And that's it. And then they go and file it. Now, if they're like, okay, what do I do next? They can go in here and read about it. So let me go back to the home page here. I just wanted to go over this real quick. There is a Spanish version here. It doesn't have everything in Spanish, but it has a good chunk. And then I went over the search for topics. These are currently what we have now. The biggest, most popular, I should say, one is divorce. And let's see, there it is in Spanish. Do the divorce packet. Now they took the static form off of here because people were like a large amount of people were making mistakes on the static form. So right now it's only as an interactive step-by-step questionnaire like we just did. And again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to put that in the chat or the Q&A box. So these are the forms and the fact sheets and information about these types of law. Like I said, not everything has a form yet, but we are working on that. And let me go back to the kiosk page. So I mentioned there is a find your local court. You can put that in here. So I'll put in Pulaski since that's where most of us are right now. Pulaski County Circuit Court, right? These items here are things that clerks ask me to put on their page. So I usually ask them what's your most asked for form or information, and I put it on here. So it's a quick click away. And then it tells you what types of cases this court handles, where the mailing physical address, the phone number is. And it used to tell you if there was a kiosk there or not. So the libraries that put a kiosk icon on their computers, I would like to include them in a directory as well. Let's try to know that. Okay, it must have been taken off. It used to tell you if they had a kiosk or not. And then we go back to this, apply for legal aid. I mentioned that, court record search, online legal advice. And that looks like this. They'll have to create a profile for it. This is the virtual advice. And then these are the video explainers. And then this is very handy. Very handy. But okay, so that is that. And let me go back into our slideshow. So I wanted to go over a few practice scenarios. Like I said, I might be over preparing you, but let's say Susie Q, who has 2 children in middle school, she can't find the correct form to divorce her spouse on the kiosk. If anybody wants to take a stab at this, go ahead and put it in the chat. And then scenario 2, Bobby wants to know if you can fill out the legal form he needs to file for an eviction, unlawful detainer. He was served. So the answers, I'm not going to explain it yet. I'll explain it at the end. The answers are the kiosk has a divorce form. Oh, sorry, we got a question here. So Vicky asks, none of the interactive forms can be printed. You download the example to print, but patrons are not able to download on public computers. Sending the form in the email is the only other option. Yes, because let me go back. Is it still on here? Yeah, I have to download it as a PDF in order to print it or send it as an email. Are they able to access their email on the computer? Let me see. I'll look further into that, but you will have to download it in order to print it if it's on the interactive. I wondered, so like on PDFs, does it open it in another tab or does it, because on mine, when I open a PDF without downloading, it'll open it up in its own little tab. Let me look further into that and I'll get back to you on that, Vicky. That's a good question. Okay, where was I? Okay, so Susie Q, she has 2 children in middle school. She can't find the correct form to divorce her spouse. So the answer is, the kiosk has a divorce form, but Susie can't get a divorce using this form. I'll explain this later. I put this in here because this has come up a lot. Scenario 2 with Bobby, he wants you to fill out the legal forms for him. You can't fill out Bobby. We're assuming Bobby's not disabled. You can't fill out Bobby's forms for him. I know you want to help, but you can't. I'm sorry. Oops. Okay. So I'll get into further explanation about these. I want to cover a few more things, but I wanted to bring these up first so you'd be thinking about them. A lot of the common questions and troubleshooting issues we come across with kiosks. This includes frequently asked questions, troubleshooting tips, and legal aid and other options. A lot of frequently asked questions is about forms availability. So we currently have a limited selection of commonly used forms, but we're continuously working on new ones. So one of those includes the divorce form. The divorce form we have on there is only for uncontested divorces, which means they're not fighting back and forth about how things should be, and they have no children. So because Susie Q has kids, that requires more complications and work and forms to fill out, which we currently do not have. But we do have a judge here in Pulaski County who is working on one for us. She's almost finished. I've been helping her write out some forms for that, some fact sheets to go with that so we can get it up and running. So I'm really hoping by the beginning of next year, we'll have a divorce with children form on there. Currently, all we have is uncontested with no kids divorce form. Let's see. And then sometimes there's complex legal issues that the person might be experiencing, which happens a lot. So, they might not be able to solve their issue on the kiosk. These are more for straightforward issues. Even I as an attorney run into legal issues that are too complex for me. And I don't know a single attorney that hasn't. And so, I mean, I have to reach out to another attorney who practices that type of law on a daily basis. So, unfortunately, there are some legal issues that are too complex to solve that you can't solve without an attorney. And if that's the case, there are options, which I'll get to. And then legal info versus legal advice. Providing legal information is not the same as practicing law. In short, you should avoid should questions. That's more legal advice, and focus on could questions, explaining options without endorsing a specific action. So there's more information about this legal info versus legal advice on the kiosk hub under the library section. And here's the short link right there. I'll open this up here in a minute, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more. This video that you can see here, this is on that site right here. And this is actually a really great little webinar. This is more for clerks and court staff, but anybody who has any sort of kiosk or legal resource, this is great to watch. So to break it down, legal advice is more a strategy, like you're telling the person how to win. It's opinion based. It's telling them, what you should do, advice. And then the legal information is more factual, non-subjective. It's procedural, it's facts about law, legal process, how to get help. It's information that's available to anybody publicly. You can offer options, but not opinions. I like to see it as legal advice. I sort of imagine it as like a basketball game, and the coaches are the attorneys giving advice, doing the strategy, trying to win. And then this is a stretch, but I feel like the referees are more the legal info people. They are citing the rules and the procedures. They're not doing any strategy. Legal aid and other options. So I mentioned if they come across a complex legal issue, or if there's a form not available that they need and they don't know where to go, they can contact legal aid over the phone advice, or a lawyer who goes to court with you. That is what they offer. There are two currently in the state. Legal Aid of Arkansas, they covered the top portion of the state, and Center for Arkansas Legal Services covers central down to the bottom. And if they can't get in, if they're too swamped or they don't meet some of the requirements that they have in place, there's also free legal answers. And this is, you create a profile, you get on there, and you have to meet the income requirements, which is you just answer a few questions, and then you ask a question on there. And then any attorney who's working on this pro bono will get on there, look at it, and then give you advice for free. And this is all by like a chat room email base. And then there's also, lastly, limited scope representation. This is hiring a private attorney, but in a sort of a la carte law. So this is where you only pay them to do certain little bits of your legal case. They're not doing the whole thing for you. So I used to do this with divorces. I would draft the legal documents for them, but the person would be representing themselves pro se. So they would file all their documents. They would represent themselves at hearings and go to court on them for themselves. All I did was I would draft the documents for them. And usually it's about half the price of a divorce if you have an attorney do the whole thing. So this is really nice, and more people are starting. The public's starting to learn a little bit more about this. But a lot of attorneys do offer this, but some of them don't put it on their website. Sometimes I suspect it might be because it is a cheaper option, but this is really great if you can't afford an attorney to do your whole case, but you need help here or there. So let's go back to the practice scenarios. Let me see how I'm on time. Okay, good. So the reason Susie Q can't find a form is because, like I said, we only have divorce forms for uncontested divorces that have no minor children. So she could contact legal aid or free legal answers. She could also find a private attorney who does the unbundling, the limited representation, or the a la carte, if you will. Bobby, so with him, you can direct Bobby to the housing section for information and forms about evictions on the kiosk. But you can't fill out the form for Bobby. You could help him print the form, but you can't make sure his filled in information is legally accurate. And then again, more information on legal info versus legal advice can be found on the kiosk hub. Troubleshooting tips, common issues. This is more for those who have had us install a physical computer. So a lot of the time with the software, it's usually a firewall. Usually the IT will have come in and updated something and the firewall is kicking it out, or it's a Wi-Fi connection issue. Again, usually IT comes in and does something and then it kicks us out and it won't let the kiosk access anything. Printer problems. A lot of the time, like 9 times out of 10, it's a paper tray. It keeps changing. We have a video, we made a video, it's on the kiosk hub on how to set it so it doesn't do it automatically. I don't know if these computers just, like to change their paper tray, or if it might be patrons going in and changing the paper tray options. But that's caused some issues. And then sometimes we have to reinstall the printer driver. But those have been the issues that we've seen the most. So they're easily fixable. And so the kiosk hub is a one-stop shop for these frequently asked questions I just went over, technical support and resources for clerks and librarians. So let me show you this real quick. I mentioned it so many times. I know you're dying of curiosity. So these are the little jump to links, but I'll scroll down to show you. Here's a tech request form. This is for everybody who's using the kiosks. You fill it out. The reason I have this is you could contact me. That's totally fine. I don't mind. But I'm not always in the office. Like Thursday, I'm not going to be in the office because I'll be driving around the state all day installing kiosks. So that's why I ask people do these forms, because this form, when someone fills it out, it goes to everybody in the office. So at least somebody is made aware of it and they can reach back out to you. Quick links to legal forms. I put this on here per the request of some clerks. They wanted, instead of digging around on the website, they wanted, some place where they can access some quick links here. Materials request form. I didn't go over this. So we have these are free. We have signs, we have rack cards, and we have posters, all the different sizes that you could put up around your location, letting people know that there's a kiosk there, that they can use it, what the kiosk is. So you can request on here, or you can email me and we'll get something to you. It's free. You can ask for as many as you want within reason. This is more for court staff, but this goes over, legal information versus legal advice. This is something we put together. You can view it as a PDF. You can download it as a PDF, view it as a book, or request a printed copy. This is also more for clerks, court form translations. They can do a translation request here. Schedule a meeting with me if you wanted. Here's other links, frequently asked questions, troubleshooting. Here's the printer video I mentioned. Announcements, not any right now. And then library. Here are the 2 videos I mentioned about legal information versus legal advice. This is provided by the National Center for State Courts. So they're really great. Okay. So we are also working on improving the kiosk. So we're simplifying legal forms for better accessibility. I'm looking also into making it more accessible for those with disabilities. We need to have something on there that reads to the patron, as well as other things as well. Translations, there's a long list. Chatbot, I'm really excited about this. It's almost set in stone. We're going to have a chatbot feature on the kiosk site. So someone could get on there and have it navigate for them. It'll help them find what they need to. So what I like about that is if there's somebody who got on there and, let's say it's a woman in a domestic abuse situation and she mentions that and that she wants a divorce, the chat bot would send her to, domestic abuse hotlines. It'll give her it'll send her to the orders of protection as well as the divorce. It wouldn't send her to just divorce. I love that it would offer these other links and resources. Resources and materials, like I just went over, posters, directional signs, rack cards, completely free on this kiosk hub. So I made a short link for it. It's AA2J Arkansas Access to Justice.org kiosk / kiosk hub. So keep that handy. It's super helpful. This is my contact information. My phone number, my email, this is our website and our address. Again, this is recorded, so I'll be posting this up online somewhere, as well as with the links. But if any of you guys have any questions, please let me know. And again, thank you for your time. We really appreciate you all adding this to your location. So thank you again, and reach out if you need.